Labor Day weekend is almost over, and America's about to get back to work and do a lot of work and get a lot of things done. That is, unless you're Nancy Pelosi, you'll be checking back with her next year. Good evening, everybody. This is Evenings LALATE, and yes, I am indoors. The plants have not grown into shutters, but here I am indoors amid incredibly hot temperatures, hotter than a meeting between Mark Meadows and Nancy Pelosi over stimulus. I'm here, you're here, and America's ready for a stimulus package. This is Evenings LALATE, always at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 Pacific Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time, part of the 3.5-hour programming schedule now on LALATE. Thank you for tuning in. Next, after this video, is a special report. Tune in for that as well in 30 minutes from now. Incredible news in the last few hours, which I have in front of me, from the Temple of Doom, which hopefully has air conditioning for all those vampires today, and Steve Mnuchin, who has certainly been under the heat last week with the Congressional Subcommittee, talking about stimulus. So let's get to the incredible details. In this video, I'll be also touching on a couple of other factors. Among them are new claims as to what's going to happen next week, confusion about what's going to happen next week, and the call to action to really get on to the third stimulus package, which will be shortly, if not immediately, thereafter. But before we get to that, late tonight, if you're here in Southern California, another fire has broken out. Yes, another fire. The Bobcat fire in Los Angeles County just broke out. This is not a CAL FIRE incident. Not a CAL FIRE incident. It is broke out in the northeast section of Cogswell Reservoir near San Gabriel Canyon, Los Angeles County. It's being battled by Los Angeles National Forest, so be on high alert. New wildfire tonight. This joins the El Dorado fire in San Bernardino, which is now at 5% containment, improved since this morning. 3,010 acres burned. The Valley fire in San Diego, still not contained whatsoever at 4,000 acres. And the Creek fire, which is very, very scary in Northern California, in Fresno, which started on 9/4. It's at 45,500 acres, and people have been evacuated. People have been injured. There's worries about fatalities. It is very serious. But now let's turn to stimulus. Steve Meadows and Mark and Nancy Pelosi were asked about stimulus today. One of them answered the question, one didn't, as typical. And the comments were actually quite surprising. Nancy Pelosi was asked on AM Joy to really talk about what's going on with stimulus, and her answer was about as evasive as her numbers. She gave very little clarity as to what she's doing, but her comments and her questions were perhaps promising. These were her exact words. She said, that, well, and the number of people who have died is because Mitch McConnell pressed pause on the HEROES Act. That's such a nice comment to say about a fellow congressional leader. He killed people. Yeah, that was her comment. She said Mitch McConnell killed people. But then she said that next week there's a lot of work to be done. Okay. I'll see it when I see it. She said committee members will be coming back this week to do committee work and vote, as in VOTE, on it the following week. Vote on what? Vote on what, Nancy? Vote on a stimulus package? Now, the question she was asked about was a stimulus package, and she went into another direction, sort of like heading towards the Bermuda Triangle, but she unfortunately came back. But she went into a totally different direction when asked a question about stimulus, went into that Mitch McConnell's killing people. His death toll is at hundreds of thousands, according to her. And then talked about science. She said the word science 7 times. She's, auditioning for Bill Nye's role on PBS. But she then said that the committee members, which, as you don't know, are subcommittee members that go over budget issues, how much things cost, negotiations, will be coming back this week to do committee work and vote on it the following week. Okay, what's incredibly interesting about that comment, is what I've been reporting for now we're upwards of about 5-7 days, is that Mark Meadows represents the second stimulus package from the Republicans will be introduced this coming week, and that will be voted on the following week and become a law the following week. Nancy Pelosi's comment is that her committee members will be working on and voting on it the following week. Ooh. Okay, it's getting a little spicy in here. All right, then there was Steve Mnuchin, and he said quite the contrary, unfortunately. He said the speaker refused to sit down again and negotiate unless we come up to something around $2.5 trillion in advance. So what's funny about that comment, not funny, but sarcastically funny about that comment, is he said Nancy Pelosi still refuses to meet. I guess she's going to meet you like next February. And that she now wants 2.5 trillion. Remember, she went at 2.4, then she went at 2.3, then she said maybe to 2.2. Now she's gone back the other way. Now she wants 2.5. Tomorrow she'll probably be at 2.6. He says that he's very excited for the plan coming this coming week. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. The president and I couldn't be more pleased with the way the economic plan is working. Basically, what's coming up next week. As you know, we put $3 trillion into the economy when the economy was completely shut down, and we're now reopened the economy. Let's do a more targeted bill now. Next week. And if we need to do more in 30 days, we'll continue to do more. The third stimulus package bill, the 651. But let's not hold up the American workers, enhance unemployment benefits, and the American businessmen that need more support. Well, the second part of the sentence is a little strange. That sounds like PPP when he didn't say PPP was coming next week. Maybe now it is. When asked about the continuing resolution, the federal budget thing that he and Nancy did last week, we didn't want to do a government shutdown, so we agreed that we're going to do a clean CR. That's what it's called, continuing resolution. We did it separately from the stimulus negotiations. I hope by the end of the week we can begin moving forward with that stimulus negotiations, because that's important for the American people. Well, I mean, moving forward with it when, Steve? I mean, how about moving forward with today or yesterday? We haven't agreed upon the specific details when asked about how long it would take for the government to keep going, but we're going to get to the end of it. And once the economy's back, we'll be focused on this issue. Okay. Well, it's quite interesting because, as we come into next week, there is a lot going to happen. And the special coming up after this video, which I've really never done before, but a lot of you have been asking, is I'm going to do a special in which I give you my personal opinion. This is not factual data. This is not empirical data. It's my opinion based upon the facts of what I think is going to happen over the next 2 weeks. Because a lot of people keep on asking me, when do you personally think things are going to happen? So I will give you my personal opinion in that video coming up, so make sure you tune to that as well. But what's happening next week is based upon a series of representations. Mark Meadows, Chief of Staff to Donald Trump, represents, along with Steve Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary, Mike Pence, Larry Kudlow, all these people represent that next week a bill will be introduced, and the following week the bill will become a law. They claim they're going to get enough votes, and they claim that they're going to pass in the Senate very quickly, and that they're going to pass in the House very quickly as well. Yeah, I see a reaction. They think they can get it done. I don't put it past them to get it done. The people in the Senate they have been conferencing with for weeks. So this is incredible, great news. So how much would you get? When would you get? How would it work? And what are they teeing up? So let me tell you their representations. Their representations are, Mark Meadows and everyone else involved, is that next week the bill will be introduced. Introduced. Not law, but introduced. And then the following week, it will become a law. They contend within 1 week, two houses of Congress will pass it in 1 week and it'll become law. If that is true, based upon Mark Meadows' representation and everyone else's representation of the Republican caucus here in the White House, then you would count 13 days from that day to receive the checks in your bank account, and as fast as 10 days. IRS has represented that from the day it becomes law, they will send the money out to you within 10 days thereafter. For electronic means, if you're set up for electronic means, more about that in a second, but it takes about 1 to 3 days for your bank to process the receipt of electronic funds. Now, if you're set up for paper check, you would add an additional week. So if Mark Meadows and Steve Mnuchin and Larry Kudlow and all these people and Vice President Pence's representations are all true, then the law, a week from this coming week, not this coming week, but the week after, you would add 13 days from that to actually receive the stimulus check in your hands. And how about FPUC? Well, because FPUC is in the package next week. I think that states are. It's a really hard question to ask me because every state processes things very quickly, very differently. Some are very quick, some are very slow. Some have newer computer systems, some don't. I would expect the earlier states to get you FPUC 2.0 money within also 13 days of it becoming law. I don't see any state faster than 13 days. I mean, maybe 7 days. I just don't see it happening. That's incredible turnaround. But I think that most states would get you the FPUC within about, boy, 2.5 weeks from when it becomes law, because these states are just slow with their computer systems. So that is one of how I want you to, for financial preparations, to understand where things are going. If you did not catch, this is incredible, great news as we digress. If you did not catch the LWA video, the third video on Afternoons LA, that was just out of nowhere. Candy, one of my wonderful viewers, sent me a message earlier today. Arizona paying 6 weeks of benefits of LWA and thinks they have maybe some to get to 7 weeks, but we may have to pull a loan to pay the remainder of the 7th week. So Arizona's getting 6 weeks of LWA benefits, but might get 7 weeks. A lot of other states now may actually have 6 weeks given to them. Who are those states? Potentially Missouri, because those first 3 states are why Arizona has access to 6 weeks of funds. As you remember, FEMA said the earliest applicants for LWA get more money. Arizona was 1. I can't remember who was 2nd. Then Missouri was 3rd. So this is incredibly great news that viewers like Candy in Arizona woke up and saw 6 weeks at $300, 6 times 3. Yeah, you can do the math. In her bank account, just true, or processing, at least processing. Incredibly great news. Now, as we sit here today, what should you expect for next week? Because it's literally going to be, it's going to be like bumper cars. It's going to be like bumper cars. First, you're going to see the bill introduced. And even actually, today is Sunday. So actually, Monday, before the bill is introduced, you're going to hear a lot of crazy chatter. Crazy chatter from people dispelling the bill before anyone has seen it, telling you something horrible's in the bill. Today I detailed no less than what? Well, in the last 24 hours, no less than what? 3 different reports that were pushing falsehoods about next week's bill. And it looks like they're pushing the falsehoods on purpose, not because of inaccurate reporting by journalists, because they really wanted you to think that it's just a bad document. But when the document is debuted, what day is it debuted? We don't know. What day is it being introduced as a bill? We don't know. When is it being introduced? We know it's next week. Who's introducing it? A senator. Which senator? Likely Mitch McConnell, but we don't know for certain. Is this like the HEALS Act that Mitch introduced? Absolutely, categorically not. The HEALS Act was written by Mitch for Mitch, and the President of the United States privately thereafter said he called it an irrelevant document, a document he had nothing to do with. He absolutely despised the document. He thought it did not do anything he wanted to do. This time around, this document is the work of the White House. It is the work of the White House and Mark Meadows and Steve Mnuchin talking to senators, the Republicans and Democrats, for weeks. So it's not a vacuum bill. It's also not a skinny bill. The minute, do me a favor, not like and subscribe yet, that's later in the video. This favor, as soon as anyone tells you the word skinny, just turn them right off. If you hear anyone in the next week on TV, on a channel, or in a news article saying a new skinny bill is being introduced next week, just cut them right off. Don't even listen to the remainder of the sentence, because next week is not a skinny bill. It is so disturbing that people are using it. So looks like the Scarlet Letter. It's like that horrible thing that Mitch drafted but never introduces a bill. Everyone is still calling this that, or calling it a version of that, or calling it skinny light or heels. I'm just like, you all have like this bad Scarlet Letter complex. You want to associate things with prior things. We're not here to do that. We're here to get to the facts. Next week's bill: stimulus checks, FPUC, K-12, and finally testing. We don't know certain things. We do know certain things. We do know it will have stimulus checks in there. We do know individuals will get a stimulus check. We do know married couples will get a stimulus check. We do know married couples will get a $2,400 stimulus check. We do know that individuals will get a $1,200 stimulus check. We do know the thresholds to getting stimulus checks are about the same as the first stimulus package. The CARES Act, $89,000 single individual, $198,000 married couple, the same thing. Things we don't know. Take it out for child support? We don't know. Number of people in the household that will get a stimulus check? We don't know. How about dependents? $500 or $1,200? We don't know. Will dependents get stimulus checks? Absolutely. We do know that. Will people on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, Railroad benefits get a stimulus check? Absolutely. Will people who did not get a stimulus check the first time around because they were adult dependents get a stimulus check this time? Yes. FPUC. What do we know? We know it will go to December 31st. What do we not know? We don't know the amount. What do we know? We know it will be retroactive to the date in which FPUC 1.0 expired. What also do we know? It will go as a bridge over LWA. So you won't get LWA and FPUC combined total amounts for the same weeks. So if FPUC 2.0 is $400 and LWA is $300, you get $100 for that week. And there you go. How about all this other stuff? Well, the other stuff is quite interesting in view of what Steve MNUCHIN's comments were today. Will hazard pay be in that second bill? Will rent be in that rent aid be in that second bill? How about food stamps? How about everything else that people have wondered? EIDL grants, EIDL loans. Will that be in that second bill? Well, the interesting thing that MNUCHIN says is he wants to get to it within just a short period of time. I think, what did he say in that quote? 30 days? So he wants to get to it about the time frame that I had said, later in this month, maybe early next month, very, very quickly. But he understands that the most important and pressing thing right now, as he says, is to get out money. Now, the important thing to remember as we go forward next week is to remain positive and to also remain skeptical. There's going to be news reporters that give you false information on purpose. There are going to be Democrats on purpose who are going to filter you false information. And there are going to be Republicans that are going to filter false information. I want to give you an analogy to what this is so you understand it in very basic terms. On Real Housewives, it's categorically well known that at the end of every season, Real Housewives leak to a certain publication, whose name I'm not going to name, a false negative to say their co-star has been fired because of. And they want the report to run that their co-star has been fired when the co-star has never been fired or never even been told they've been rehired. No decision about Cassie has been made. They do it on a regular basis called a false negative. That's what's going on next week and has already started today, where you see false negatives, where people are sending false information about something that hasn't happened. And I wouldn't be surprised if you hear false positives, where you hear something that may not also be true going forward. As what I will do is filter through it for you, especially. It's been a big day. It's been a big day. Why am I indoors? Because it's brutally hot outside. I nearly fainted recording yesterday. 2.5 hours outside is not good in yesterday's weather, and today it's actually even worse here in Los Angeles. So this was very impromptu. This is not prepared. As one viewer in the comments said, "Hey, LA, can you get your crew to come in and modify the lighting and have the crew, change the backdrop?" I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll talk to myself about that. Crew. So if you've appreciated my ability to report to you in even the worst type of situation, weather-wise today, then give me 3 benefits. First, subscribe to this channel, give me some subscriptions, give me some subscribing, tell your friends to subscribe. We're trying to get to 250,000 subscribers. I know that yesterday a lot of people were away for Labor Day weekend, so you're coming back. So if you're coming back and you're turning on this video, please subscribe to this channel. Please hit the alert. If you don't have a little red next to your face, next to your name on this channel, then go into the pinned comment by me on this video where I say, give you a link on YouTube how to fix that. It's basically unsubscribing and then resubscribing, because when you're a subscriber, I know you're part of the community, you're part of the Purple Power. If you aren't, then I don't know. I have to rely upon my memory, and it's better than Nancy Pelosi's. Next, hit the like button, lots of thumbs, but don't hit it twice, because if you hit it twice, you like and then you unlike. Only hit it an odd number of times, once or 3 times or 5 times, and so that it helps the video appear higher in the rankings. It really does appreciate. You've been doing a great job today. We've been doing kick-ass stuff, so we've been like number 2, 3, 5 today, so keep it up. I really appreciate it. Coming up after this is a special report. If you've ever wanted to know my personal opinion about what's going on in the next 2 weeks, that is the video to watch. I don't usually do it. I may not do it again, but with the heat stick hipping up and me hipping up or messing up that word, this might be the last time I do it. So as always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused. Have a great evening, Purple Power, and stay in LA for more.